Hi, everybody. I'm Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live number 101. I want to welcome you to our broadcast today. Today we're going to talk about vibrato. The title of the show is I Can't Do Vibrato. Is it wrong to force it? We'll answer that question in just a minute. This is our pre-show show, and so I've got a little timer up today. You can see it like right here, right here on my shoulder. So I'm going really high tech. Just trying to help create a little bit of a countdown here to hi is YT Loser. Nice to have you with me today. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully this is going to be of interest to all of us out there who weren't born with vibrato. You know, that's me. So I want to welcome all of you to the show today. I want to try and make this a little more brief more brief, shorter than I've been doing in the past. He's been going a long time, mainly because you've had such great questions. But we'll see if I can be a little less verbose. So hey, Mike, nice to have you with us today. And so we're in the pre-show show, and we're down to the last minute and 46 seconds, and then we'll get into the show. So, you know, I was thinking about this vibrato thing, and I just wanted to ask you guys that are here already. Do you think you can develop vibrato? You know, yes or no? Do you think if you don't have it, if you're not born with it, can you just develop it? Yes or no? Can we develop vibrato, or do you have to be just born with it? We're going to talk about that today because really there's a lot of feeling out there that vibrato, and I'm one of them. I think vibrato is a really important thing to have in your voice, and it really helps our singing. And if that's the case, then what do we do if we weren't born with it, you know? So we're going to talk about that today, and whether you agree that it's important or not, if you can't do vibrato, you're limited in some way. There's something in your voice that's holding you back, and I'm going to help you with that today. We're going to, in the next 5 to 10, 15 minutes, you're going to have vibrato, one way or another. So, Yamar says, has a question. Okay, Mike says, yes, of course, we can develop vibrato. So let's see if, let me just quickly answer this question. I was singing for the past 2 months and I got tonsils. Probably tonsillitis. Okay, what's your question, Yamar? I'd like to answer that for you. So, welcome everybody. I'm Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live, number 101. And I want to welcome you to this 101st show, which is, you know, I guess it's quite a milestone when you start to think about it. My wife said, you know, just a few more and you've gone 2 years in a row. And I thought, what? You're right. 52 plus 52, 104. So just a few more. And I've been doing this live show for 2 years. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. So how's everybody doing today? You know, all my life I sang, everybody, let me tell you, until I was 43 years old, I sang a straight tone. Whenever I sang, there was no vibrato. And I'll tell you why. One reason why is because I didn't know that I could actually develop vibrato. Yes, you can actually develop vibrato. Mike nailed that. And he says, of course. You know what? I didn't know that. when I was 15 to 16, I had a teacher who had her master's degree in vocal performance from a university. She had cut an album. She was well-known opera classical singer in my hometown, and she was a well-known teacher. Beautiful voice, and she said, if you don't have, if you're not born with it, you don't have it. Well, so all my life, I thought that I was one of those unfortunate ones that wasn't born with vibrato. And so I didn't even know it was, in fact, possible to develop vibrato. So today we're going to talk about developing vibrato. This is a question that came to me from my YouTube channel. And the question basically was, if you can't do it, is it wrong to force it? That was what she was essentially asking. Is it wrong to force it? And I used to feel this way. What about you guys? I don't know. Did you feel like it was wrong? Have you always had vibrato? All of you? If you have, lucky. You're lucky and blessed. But for some reason, I just didn't have vibrato. Who knows why? I mean, there's some, I could guess a couple reasons, but anyway, she said, if you're not born with it, you don't have it. And I didn't have naturally occurring vibrato. So, we're going to talk about developing that today. Just a shout out to, hey, Marty, I sing in the car and vibrato comes easily. Yeah, that's awesome. It's really an advantage if you can. Emmer says, I'm very confused when I work on singing technique. I forget breathing and vice versa. Emmer, I would say that I wouldn't think too much about breathing at first. Do you have to think a lot about breathing when you speak? It should be about the same with when you sing. We shouldn't have to spend too much time thinking about breathing. There are a few things we can do to help us with our breathing, but I don't, unless there's an egregious problem with my student, I don't spend a lot of time at first talking about breathing. There's some really great breathers out there that are not too hot on singers, they're not too good singers, and then there's some wonderful, fabulous breathers are really marginal breathers that are great singers. So don't make it your number one priority, because it can get into your head, and you can sing without being a great breather. You could do better with some proper breathing, but at first I wouldn't worry about it. Okay, so Marty, Mike says, maybe it's a bumpy road, Marty. Very, very good. There's some roads I ride on out here in my home state in the United States, the state of Utah. It's just bump, 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 and it's a great training ground for vibrato. Very funny, Mike. Biddy 4, that's Mike says, I used to have to shake my head to get it. Yeah, we'll talk about how to get it going. He says, hi, Chuck, how do you know if you're singing from your throat? What does singing from the throat mean? I don't really know. My vocal cords are in my, it feels like they're in my throat, down the bottom of the throat. And that's where my sound comes from. And so I tend to feel like everything I'm doing comes from my throat. But if I were like this, if I were kind of singing like this so that everything was right down here, kind of jammed down inside, so I wasn't getting any resonance or vibration or anything up above that, up here in my mouth, I might feel like I was singing from my throat. I'm not sure. But I'd be speaking from my throat too. So, I've never had somebody that I've talked to in my studio and said, oh, you're singing from your throat. I've never even thought that. Usually it's a matter for me of if the larynx is high, or if the larynx is stuffed down low, or, something like that, or if chest voice is being pulled and so forth. So, Ink, you've kind of got me there. Somebody else smarter than me is going to have to answer that. Marty says, I was making it funny, the vibration of the road. I get it. Okay, Marty. That's great. Freeman Muse. Hi, Freeman. Nice to have you here today. I don't know why, but it depends on how I feel. I can't sing as well as sometimes. Sometimes it's weird. Wouldn't it be nice, Freeman Muse, if it was like we could go to the closet, open the closet, reach in and get our little our little case out, open up the case, and get this, this voice and like plug it in and then just like sing. It's just been waiting for you to come in and unlock it, and everything is there and it's perfect and it's not hoarse and it's not, there's no allergies and, there's no worry about whether or not you're upset or there's no there's no baggage, there's no emotional whatever. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? You just plug it in. On the other hand, maybe that would be too mechanical. Interesting thought. Yamar says, I got it, but I have a fear of getting sore throat, so I focus on breathing because I want to sing from the diaphragm. Most of the time, Yamar, you don't get a sore throat. It's possible, but not usually sore throat from breathing problems. The sore throat usually comes because the larynx is high and because we're not giving our voice, the energy. I could probably breathe rather incorrectly, and if I'm giving the proper energy to my voice, I don't know if I'm going to get a sore voice. I just don't believe. I'm sorry. Everybody can, you can all leave if you would like, but I don't believe breathing is the number one, number two, or number three thing on the list to learn to be a really good singer. It might be number four. Anyway, so let's talk about vibrato, because those of you who, so far no one's talking about it here, but I'm going to have people who are joining me who want to know about vibrato. And here's the answer. Is it wrong to force it? And the answer is, maybe force isn't quite the right word, but at first, if you can't do vibrato, you're going to have to manage that. You're going to have to manufacture some vibrato. So you're going to have to make it happen. If forcing it kind of implies a little abuse. You don't have to abuse to get it started. I used to feel like that was wrong to do. That if you didn't have it naturally, you shouldn't make it happen, because that was fake or that was artificial, and that's an evidence that you don't really have it. Well, what happens is there are neurons in the vocal folds themselves, in the vocal cords. And just by giving some help with vibrato, getting it started in certain ways, the vocal cords will learn what is expected of them, and they will take over. All right? So let me give you an example. Let me just make this first step here and say, if you have no vibrato, you may sing something like, ah, 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 just straight tone. Now, a very simple, fast way to kind of get something started is to take your hands and do this when you're holding out the note. Ah, similar to what Marty is talking about and riding in the car. And Mike, riding in the car. Ah. Now, just by giving yourself a little bit of help there, you start to feel that little pulse. And so what I recommend is start it with the handshake in front of you, and then stop the handshake, but see if you can keep that going. That's the idea, to give it a little bit of an assist to get that feel started, to get the vocal cords informed as to what you want, and then stop shaking, stop the assist, but see if the vocal cords will carry on with it, will keep it going. It's a very, very fast way to do it very simply, and it's very effective. I've had a lot of students through the years that couldn't do it, started doing the hands as an assist, and then stop, but continue to try and duplicate the feeling they had when they were using their hands to keep the vibrato moving, to keep it going. It's a very, very effective way to do it. Okay, so let me say hi to a couple of folks who have joined us. I want to say hi to Messi Goat Milan. As a flip falsetto, I am having real struggles with getting a mix or vocal bridge. I'll come back to that. So Freeman says, I am a natural vibrato, but I don't know how to use it or when to use it. Okay, so that's an interesting question. When do you use vibrato? It somewhat varies with the genre of music that you're singing. I would say overall, if you're singing classical or opera music songs, that vibrato is much more consistent with almost, throughout the vocal line. So you might sing, ah, ah. It might even be that much. I think primarily the vibrato occurs when you're sustaining the note. Ah. And in the passing or traveling notes, there's not time for vibrato. And so certainly when you sustain the note, or when you're paused for a moment on the note, the end of the line, whenever you have a beat or two or three that you're holding, then by all means, the vibrato is appropriate. And that happens a lot in pop. It happens also in rock. Certainly in musical theater, vibrato is used all the time. And it's good. It's a good thing for the voice. We in the West tend to, in the West, the Western Hemisphere, tend to expect to hear vibrato. I don't know that it's always the same in every other part of the world and different kinds of music, but certainly in our music, the expectation, even if it's unconsciously or subconsciously rather, we expect to hear vibrato. We're used to it, and it will round out the music that's being sung. Okay, let's talk just for a minute, because the discussion is here a little bit on. I feel a little like I move my larynx to make vibrato. If you've seen this, where they're moving the mouth or shaking the head, that's not where vibrato is originating. The vocal folds themselves, there's alternating pressures that are occurring down in the cord structure. So the interaction of the air and the muscle, the overpowering of the air with with the vocal folds, and the interaction between those things. This is where the sound, the sound cycle, the cycle of vibrato is being created and should be created. You don't want to be shaking your head. You don't want to be doing anything up here. You don't want to be shaking your body. It's all right here. ah, and there really is no outward motion of the. It reminds me of a Walt Disney character, like I don't know, that I've seen, a cartoon character where they've got the vibrato, or they've got the Adam's apple just flopping up and down to create the vibrato. Yeah, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the vocal cords themselves, all by themselves, creating this cycle of spin, and it's above the pitch. It's not down into the pitch. It's above the pitch. Ah, and I think it's between 6 to 8 cycles per second is the appropriate speed. Can't be too slow, can't be too fast. Otherwise, too slow, it becomes a wobble. And too fast, it becomes a kind of a bleeding sound, like a little lamb. So let me take a couple other comments here and say hi to Stephen Campbell. Hey, Stephen, nice to have you here. Ink says, I can do vibrato exercise easily, but then when I sing, my voice just trembles, which is what that too fast of a vibrato is called, tremolo. So we don't want to go too fast, otherwise it loses its natural sound, or shakes very fast and isn't controllable at all. So how do you control the vibrato? You might want to consider something like this. So stop it, start it, stop it, and start it with one breath, and just practice turning it on, turning it off, turning it on, turning it off. And that's going to begin to introduce to you more control. All right, so let me say hi to, Stephen, hola. White Sea says, I usually tap my throat. Ah, interesting. To get something started. I've never tried that before. I don't know. I don't know if the direct. I personally probably wouldn't do that, because I can get the same thing by saying. All right. How many times before this really works? Well, how many times do you practice your golf swing before it takes, before it becomes habitual? Or how many times do you practice your swim stroke before it's second nature? How many times do you have to, I don't know, review when you're in 4th grade? How many times you have to do the multiplication tables before they just kind of pop into your head? I think it's probably different, Mike, for everybody, but you do it as long as it takes, right? Now, let's talk about a couple other ways to do it. What if I said, so ladies, for you, it would be, up here someplace. Or, shake your hands and get it going up here. It doesn't have to be in the bridge. It could be below the bridge. It's sometimes easier below the bridge. Now, you could also say, shh, come in. She, when you say she, it's interrupting that airflow, and it kind of starts a little bit of that pulse feeling. She. For personally, you guys, I find this to be very helpful. She. I don't know. It's like this is controlling this, and it's just been this is helpful when I was first learning vibrato to control again another element of control. She start. That's a third way. Start alternating between the whole note, the whole step. Practice going a little bit faster, and then a little bit faster, and then a little bit faster, and then quite a bit faster. Just take it one slow step at a time. So there's three really solid ways of working on that vibrato. I found that whole step alternating back and forth to be really effective. And for me, it almost becomes kind of a pulse. So but sometimes we don't do these things because we think it's a cheat. We think it's not what we're supposed to do. It should just come naturally to us. No. Go ahead and cheat. Go ahead and manage it. Manufacture it. It's not really forcing it, but I guess you're creating it. And the creation of it will eventually start to take with the chord structure. There are neurons, as I mentioned, in the vocal folds, and they begin to respond to the stimulus. So you're stimulating those vocal cords, and they will pick it up. They'll pick up that vibrato. And then you want to begin practicing it, holding it out longer, holding it, taking a larger breath. That's one of the mistakes I see that those people who are trying to learn, singers are trying to learn to get vibrato, is they don't hold it out long enough for it to start to take. So you gotta get it. You gotta give yourself a chance for the vocal cords to memorize the feeling. So I guess that's the answer, Mike. Your cords have to have a chance to memorize the feeling. And muscle memory, how long does it take to get muscle memory? It probably varies from between all of us. Let me pick up a couple other questions here. Just stop and see if they do it. Yep, just stop and see if they keep going. Or see if you can keep them going yourself. If you're going, you might have to kind of like engage it. Every little bit will start to, it's kind of a layered thing. Every little bit starts to help. Can someone be too old to learn to sing correctly? You know, YT Loser, I was 43 before I could do vibrato. I was 43 before I could start to bridge from my chest to my head voice without breaking or cracking. I increased my range over an octave after age 43. So I'm not sure how old you're referring to, but I don't think so. I don't think you're too old. I don't think you're ever too old. Ymer says, Ymer, Nazir. Hey, nice to have you with us. Oh, he's talking to Mike. Okay, so I'm just going to let that go. Gary, hi Gary, nice to have you here. Tikansky. Hey, what's up? Been watching a lot of videos and they seem to be helping out. Awesome. Thank you, Gary. And thanks for joining us. I hope this is helpful today. So Umar says something in your throat moves just a bit before vibrato comes. It's under your control. The movement. I feel the air going by, and I can feel the vibration of the chords, creating the sound wave. I don't feel, personally, I don't feel anything before, but I do feel the vibration. Okay, Mike says, ugh, laugh out loud. I've held notes for what seems like minutes and nothing. Yeah, so I don't think that it helps to hold out a tone, a flat or a straight tone, if you're trying to develop vibrato. So if the tone goes straight, re-engage the hands again. If you're saying ah, stops and ah, just keep those things going. If you have to hold it out if you have to shake your hands the whole time, ah, give your vocal cords a chance to begin to memorize that feeling. If it's too fleeting, then it's likely my vocal cords are kind of dumb, and they don't learn very fast. So Humor says, I remember the first time I felt my voice vibrate naturally. It was really a great feeling at first. I used to think that it comes because of the movement of the diaphragm. It helps to have an air supply. You do have to have air moving through the cords. But yeah, it's not a pump from down there. Yeah, I'm not pumping the air back and forth to create it. It's the interaction of a steady stream of air with the vocal cords. And it's something you can't really explain. You can't read about it necessarily. You could read about shaking your hands or alternating between pitches. But as far as like reading about the science behind this is what happens when you get vibrato, yeah, it doesn't work. You do have to actually experience it, and that's why these little cheats, these little helps are very handy. Okay, hey, Mike said he started at 50. You got me beat, Mike. The air would be the stimulus. I think it's the air and the chords together. I don't think it's just air. I don't think it's just chords. It's finding the balance between the air, the air flowing through and the vocal cords. I realize it really is. Let me see. But then I realize it really is the throat. Started at 50. Gotcha. Okay. Messi says, Chuck, what tips do you have to improve stage confidence? I sing metal music, so I find it to be very important in all music genres where singing is involved, but especially in rock and metal. Yeah, it's a real performance, isn't it? The metal and rock, guys are all over the stage. The people that are interesting are, and they're interacting with the audience. They're, they are animated. That, we've all seen the guy, on the stage as the guitar. He's just like tuned into the guitar, not thinking too. It doesn't look like he's thinking about the audience or anything like that. He's just like zoned in on the guitar. It's not very interesting. So, Messi, I think probably the number one message on stage confidence is, you want to get your technique down, your vocal technique, so you're not thinking about that. You don't have to worry or think about it. So that's second nature. And you want to get your songs down, and that's second nature. So you're not worried about the words, and so everything, the song and the technique is like subconsciously you're on autopilot almost. That being said, in almost every genre with lyrics, if you have lyrics or there's a message with the song or there's an emotion with the song, it really helps stage confidence to focus on the lyrics and the meaning of the lyrics and what it means to you and the meaning of the song and the emotion of the song. Because if I am like just totally focused on what, I don't have to worry about my vocal technique. It's there. I don't have to worry about the song. I know the song. I know it so well, in fact, that I can see the lyrics. I can feel and experience them. And if I can find the emotion in the lyrics, and emotion in the music, and emotion in the feeling of the song, that will take care of about 90% of your stage confidence. You don't have to think too much about being confident. It will be there because you're losing yourself in the song. Your technique is solid. The song is well rehearsed. You know it. And then you zone in on what that song means, the emotion it creates in you, and you share it. You share that. You allow that to come out. You don't have to worry about what people are thinking. You don't have to worry about acting. You don't have to, because it will be there. It's very, very powerful to focus in on the song, the lyrics, the meaning, the emotion of the song. And I would experiment with that and see where it takes you. Ink says, my neighbor's 94 and male and learned how to sing in 4 months. Awesome. Emmer says, in Indian music, there are these 7 notes. Okay? Makes 1 octave. Lowest highest. Okay. Most of these singers here develop vibrato by reciting these notes quickly. Yeah, I hear a lot of different kinds of it's almost I don't know how to describe it. It's almost not vibrato, but it's definitely a motion of those kinds of sounds in Indian music, and it's slightly different than probably because it's on the Western music. The vibrato is generally on just one note, on one pitch, whereas the Indian music, Emmer, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it's kind of a running vibrato. I mean, forgive me because I don't know the genre. I've heard some because I've had some students sing it, but it seems like there's motion in the pitch combined with some feeling of the vibrato there, which is I think is quite different than the Western music. And I think it's very challenging, by the way, if you can do that. Okay, well, my 20 minutes has gone to about 45 or so, 35 minutes. So I think we're going to try and wrap this up now. I hope this has been helpful, this conversation. I talked about balancing the voice. And one great way to work on balance in the voice, and balance, by that I mean that the air coming from the lungs, the muscle in the vocal cords, they're playing nicely together. There's not too much air, there's not too much muscle, too much tension. It's just a nice equilibrium that the vocal cords have with the air. The larynx is down, the vocal cords are coming together appropriately. All of this lends to balance. But the problem is when we sing higher, we hit the bridge and we lose the balance. So one of the things I highly recommend is go to the Knowledge Center on the website, powertosing.com. And, I guess to make this really easy, if you look in the description below in this video, after the video is over, if you look in the description, then you'll see you can download a PDF entitled Get Your Vocal Type. And it's got links to everything you need in order to, everything you need is going to be in that description, in that PDF. Download the PDF, and it'll take you to right where you get your vocal type. It'll take you to the videos that talk about your vocal type. It takes you to free exercises you can download, okay? It'll probably save you an hour. Just download the PDF, and it'll help you. And that will be probably the fastest way to get to a balanced voice. And that helps, by the way, really helps in developing vibrato. Okay, so just a final look here. Most of the singers here develop vibrato by reciting as quickly. Reciting as quickly are called runs or licks. Well, I'm not sure. I don't know if that's exactly right. I don't know if runs are the same as licks. Anyway, interesting. Actually, I have an real issue with remembering lyrics. Yep. So that's a whole nother topic. And I understand what you're saying. I've had experiences myself where I've forgotten the lyrics on stage, and started around 7, 21 now. So I have time to improve. I remember how lyrics and everything so I have time to improve how I remember lyrics and everything based on my technique. Yeah, so there's a lot of ways to improve memorizing lyrics. There's a lot of ways, and it's very doable, Messi. Emmer says, yeah, but what it does is kind of trains your throat, creates balance. Okay, off to practice, which leads to vibrato. All right, thanks, you guys. I hope this has been humor. He says, Chuck, I've learned so much from you. Stay blessed. Thank you very much, everybody. All my best to you. Remember, you can sing higher with beauty, confidence, and power. And I'll see you inside the next video. This is Chuck Gilmore. Thanks.